and acknowledge my respect for their current and emerging leaders and those in the dreaming, and thank them for their contributions that they make to our community. I'd like to welcome Pastor Joshua Symes from the Innisfail Baptist Church to conduct the opening prayer. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome.
It's always a pleasure to come and have this opportunity to do that. Let me share a scripture with you first, please. Psalm 139, it might be a very common one, you might know well. You've searched me, Lord, you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You're familiar with all my ways. Before the word is on my tongue, Lord, you know it completely. You hem me in, behind and before. You lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. I rise on the wings of the dawn. If I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me and the light becomes night around me, even then the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for the darkness is as light before you. For you, I think that's a great passage to remind us is that it's great for transparency and having meetings like this and open, and but also that God knows us and He knows us even we're not seen by public, and we're accountable to ultimately to Him as well. So let me pray for you. Heavenly Father, Almighty God, we come before you today. We thank you for our counsel and we pray for them. Now, Father, I pray that your Spirit might fall upon them, that they may know you as you know them. And Father God, that you might instill wisdom and guidance in them, that they might make wise and faithful decisions for our community. Guide them and lead them, we pray. Father God, we pray for our community, for cohesiveness, togetherness, and a sense of belonging. And Father God, we also pray for the projects they've got underway, particularly at Mission Beach, that you might give them favourable weather to get those projects finished and done, and restore for the community a sense of stability there too, as those projects need finishing. So Father God, I thank you. I pray for our town leaders and your blessing and encouragement and leading on them today. Amen.
Thank you very much. You have a great day.
You too. All the best for you, man. God bless.
Is that going to be on? So we move on to the apologies. Are there any apologies? No apologies? Declaration of prescribed conflicts of interest or declarable conflicts of interest. I now invite those present to use this opportunity to make public any prescribed conflicts of interest or declarable conflicts of interest in respect of the items in the agenda. Councillors should use this opportunity to disclose and or comment on other councillors and or staff interests in accordance with the Act and regulations. Are there any conflicts to declare? No? Okay. Move on to confirmation of the minutes. We have a mover and a seconder. Happy to move. Moved by Councillor Littlemore. Seconded by Councillor Purvin. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Do we have any business arising? No business arising? We want to move and second that there's no business arising. Don't need to, we'll move on. Receipt of the minutes. am I doing that? The recommendation is that the unconfirmed minutes of the following committee meetings should be received and noted. That would be that of the Youth Advisory Committee meeting held on the 25th of July 2025. Can we have a mover and seconder? By Councillor Chewy. Seconded by Councillor Pervin. Thank you. I've got the wrong. Councillor Chewy, you may.
Yeah, that's through the chair. Thank you. Just some information regarding the Youth Advisory Committee. There was a careers day back in May, and the Youth Advisory Committee ran a survey through the students that were there, and there were 300 students attend that careers day. So some of the feedback, what they love about living here, was nature, country life, fishing, and community spirit. So that was great. What they would like to see is a water park. I did remind them there was one at Mission Beach. Music festivals and sporting events. And what they felt was missing was youth activities, sporting events, and events on safety, which I found quite intriguing as I'm confronted by e-scooters and people not wearing helmets constantly. So I thought that was interesting. But I did mention, you know, they want things to do, and there are so many groups needing volunteers. So once again, I would urge our youth, you don't have to attend the Lions meeting, you don't have to attend the Rotary meeting, you don't have to attend meetings, but sometimes they just require young people to assist them. We've got the Riverfest coming up, we've got the Gem Fest this weekend, we've got the Cassowary fishing tournament, there's lots of events coming up in September. So if you would like to, you know, become involved in the community spirit that you say that you love, this is a great way to do that, because there are events that, you know, we need people to, we need our youth to step up. Our volunteers are all a very mature age, and we want these groups to continue. So grab a group of friends and reach out and see what you can do, whether it's selling raffle tickets or tidying up or just walking around and saying hello and welcoming people to the event. That would be fantastic. So I thank our Youth Advisory Committee for organising that survey, and hopefully together we can work on some of the other.
So through that Youth Advisory Committee, have we had any positive recalls to say that they want to be a part of any of these volunteering groups?
Well, the members of the committee certainly do. They contribute to different things. But we need to go beyond that. We need to go beyond the committee and reach out to. And I know young people are busy with school and curriculum, and there's sporting events and things like that. But you know, if it was an annual event, that's what I say to even our people that aren't part of the youth committee. If you want to do one thing, help at your local show. If you want to volunteer at one event a year, make it be the local show. If you live at Caroline, make it be the fishing tour. You don't have to do a weekly thing if you aren't restricted by time. So certainly we need to go beyond. We are seeking more members for the Youth Advisory Committee as well. Some of the people have been unable to sort of meet their obligations there, so we are reaching out. But you know, we need to hear from our youth.
So there's an opportunity there, Councillor, that we liaise a bit more closely with the schools to maybe get some sort of a volunteering group up and going.
I spoke to Ms. Sabella about that, because one of the teachers, after I spoke at Innisfail College Tuesday, came up and said, can you give us a list of the names that we could volunteer? People want to volunteer. So Ms. Sabella was responding to that email and listing the various groups and events that they could be volunteering at. So.
I think the important thing is making those young people feel important if they do actually come forward and start to volunteer, so that they have that sense of worth and want to continue.
And look, it's a brave step to say, you know, when it's 15, to say, here I am, you know, but, you know, it would be wonderful. And bring a mate. If you don't want to come on your own, get your friend or your cousin or something and come together, because there will be work there for young people, for anybody to do. But we need to keep these wonderful events and groups happening, and if we don't get younger people to step up, then sadly, as we've already seen, they will start to drop away.
Absolutely, yep. Oh, we'll have to keep the conversation going in that space. Thank you.
Thank you.
We move on to economic activation and tourism, and I invite Ms. Clark to come and present. Morning.
Morning.
Pop your. That was on, yeah.
Yeah.
That's on.
Morning all. So through to the Chair, this morning I'm presenting the Growing the Cassowary Coast Shopfront Improvement Program for 25-26, and this is round one. So the 24-25 round of the Shopfront Improvement Program delivered strong economic returns, with 20 applicants receiving funding and delivering a total return on investment of 318%. This means that for every dollar that was invested, $3 was then returned to our local economy. This demonstrates the program's significant contribution to business revitalisation, local job creation, and broader regional economic growth. The program continues to offer dollar-for-dollar matching grants of up to $5,000 for eligible shopfront improvements and provides targeted revitalisation opportunities that attract investors, visitors, increases foot traffic, and enhances the region's appeal to investors and tourists. The Growing the Cassowary Coast Shopfront Improvement Program is a cornerstone initiative under our Growing Stronger Together 2033 Economic Development Strategy. It is designed to revitalise business precincts, stimulate economic activity, and continue to support local jobs across the region and honour our commitments to our small business friendly charter. 25-26 recommends that the program continues to build on the achievements it's received while refining its focus to maximise its benefits. Maintaining open eligibility for all commercial precincts will ensure regional equity, while prioritising the township zone for Mission Beach Local Plan Tourism Precinct will address specific local challenges that are being experienced. This includes the impacts of major drainage works, severe weather disruptions, and a direct recommendation from the Queensland Small Business Commissioner. This priority focus also aligns with the actions in the Mission Beach Business Recovery Plan and delivers targeted support to financially impacted businesses. So today the recommendations for Council are that Council endorse the Growing the Cassowary Coast Shopfront Improvement Program for 25-26, inclusive of the policy amendments in the attached report, and approve the recommendation to prioritise applications located within the township zone of the Mission Beach Local Plan Tourism Precinct for the 25-26 round in line with the actions in the Mission Beach Business Recovery Plan.
Councillor Chewy.
Thank you. Through the Chair, Ms Clark, could you just clarify, I've had a business in Mission Beach for 25 years and I paid rent. So if I wanted to be part of this, how do I make that happen? A lot of those businesses are part of one corporate, so just give some guidelines on how shop business operators liaise to make it all work.
Yep, that makes sense, thank you. So through to the Chair, if you were a tenant or you hold a current lease agreement, you would need the business owner permission. So as part of the application, one of the very first questions are whether you're the owner of the building or you're the business located within the building, and then you have to tick that you've received owner permission. And that can be through an email as long as it's got the what do you call it, the signature at the bottom that says that it's from the owner, or on a formal letterhead, and we can help applicants work through that process. So included with this program, we'll be doing one-on-one support sessions for businesses, so if they have any questions about specifics, we can help them through that.
And following up, are there any guidelines as to what can and cannot be done as part of this shopfront improvement?
Yes. Yeah, so through to the Chair, the program does include the guidelines, and it's got a list of eligible works, and they range from accessibility to security to painting to some visual amenities at the front of your building, and then what's ineligible. And again, if there are any questions once they've read the guidelines, which will be up on our website and available to everyone applying, and they're also attached in the application process, they can ask our team directly and we can help them through that.
Councillor Pervin.
Thanks, Ms Clark. Just a question. I know we're just prioritising the Mission Beach area for this one, but if the amount isn't fully taken up, we will spread it out to other areas of the region if they have put applications in. Is that correct? We're not just going to say no. It's just, we're going to prioritise that area, and if it's not taken up, someone from Innisfail, Tully, wherever could take it up.
Yeah, so through to the Chair, as part of the recommendation today, it is the prioritisation. It doesn't exclude anyone across the region from applying. What that means is in the assessment process, if they're located in that specific zone, which is that Mission Beach Local Plan Tourism Zone, that they will receive a higher weighting in their application. So everyone is encouraged to apply by all means, and it'll be marked against a number of criteria, but one of the criteria is weighted more highly for that zone.
All right, thank you.
Councillor McLeod. You're up.
Thank you. Through the Chair. Using both. Sorry, let me get my train of thought. No, you're right. My train of thought back. Firstly, I actually want to thank my fellow councillors for actually approving this allocation in our budget. We see the return back to local businesses who are performing the work, but also it helps our businesses improve their shop front, which we get a lot of complaints about with businesses not looking, buildings and all the rest of it not looking good. So this is a great aid for them to tap into this money to help with that. So I love this program. I'm a big supporter of it. It does build economic growth, not only in the money side of it, but also creating jobs as well, because we do know we do need tradies and all the rest of it to help with this. So I'll move the recommendation if that's okay, please.
Councillor Jessup?
Yes, good morning. We speak about people that are renting buildings able to apply for it. So the actual building owner can apply as well, or is it one or the other?
Through to the chair, so it would be an application per premises, so it would be one or the other, but the owner can apply. We've had instances where the owner's applied, and then we've had instances where the business has applied, but it's only one for that premise.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Seconded by Councillor Chewy. Just more of a comment. So, I mean, we often see the comments on our favourite place, Facebook, about the untidiness of buildings in our streets and CBDs. So I do highly encourage those out there that need assistance with getting them cleaned or up to scratch to at least apply and see if you're eligible, because we don't own those buildings and we don't, as council, have jurisdiction over their cleaning. So it is their responsibility to make sure that their facades and outsides of their buildings are clean. So yeah, just wanted to add that. Councillor Baines, have you got something to add?
Just with your indulgence, Chair, I reiterate Councillor McLeod's words. This is an amazing project. This project has had varying iterations over the years that I've been in council. I mean, it doesn't seem like a huge investment, but that investment, the dollars that come out of it for local business people it's like 4 or 5 to 1 in the program as the dollar benefit. It could be even more than that. So, and I mean, I know we are targeting an area, a prioritised area in this. There are very good reasons for that, and it's written into the risks and into the report. I will note though that we say this is round 1. So we can't predict, of course, a budget piece around council. I'm speaking for myself now, but I believe the councillors around the table see the value of a program like this and how it can benefit our businesses, our tradies, everyone in the region. So very supportive of it. Great piece of work.
It also benefits the visibility of our towns to tourists and everything that comes. So yeah, it is of great benefit. So we've had a mover and a seconder. So those in favour, thank you. Thank you very much. We move on to financial performance report, and Ms. Peters will present.
Good morning all.
Morning.
All right, here today to present the first month's financial performance report for 25-26, so July 2025. Operational revenue year to date is $2.4 million, which is less than budget by $5.5 million. Operational expenditure year to date is $9.2 million, which is just under budget by $100K, which results in an operational loss year to date of $6.7 million, which is largely as a result of the timing of the prepayment of the financial assistance grant, which we've heard before. We'll hear again, no doubt, throughout the rest of the year. Total capital expenditure, including commitments, represents 22% of the $106 million budget, and end of month cash balance is $61.5 million, which includes $30 million of fixed term investments. I'll jump into a couple of the key reasons for the variances. Again, it's only the first month, so luckily not too many to report on. The rates line, so issued rates, we'll all be aware, issued rates on Wednesday 20th of August, so last week, and rates are due on Friday the 19th of September. We'll recognise the rates income in line with when we issued the rates. So August report, we'll see the rates revenue on the net rates and utilities line. Fees and charges, revenue greater than budget by $170,000. Transfer station income for the month is $180,000, which is $55,000 greater than budget. Again, there's a table in there which breaks down in more detail some other fees and charges, and you can see the performance there for July. Interest revenue, a reminder that council charges 12.12% interest on outstanding rates, and that's on all payment plans now. Interest for the month across both our investments and rates outstanding is largely in line with budget.
Sorry, just on that note, sorry to interrupt, but just wanted to make clear that 12.12% in the interest isn't gauged by council. That's actually a regulated an amount?
Yeah, absolutely, and we adopt it as part of the revenue statement as part of the budget process. So
Thank you, sorry.
Operating grants and contributions, this is what I touched on earlier. This is the large driver for the variance of this month, so that is all to do with that financial assistance grant. So explained it last month, I'll explain it again, but the financial assistance grant, we received 50% of the 25-26 amount in the 24-25 financial year. Couple of implications of that, and we'll review that at BR1 with the likely suggestion being that we'll prepay the 26-27 amount in 25-26, but that will come to you for a discussion at BR1.
Through the Chair, it's worth just noting this has been a long-term advocacy piece from the Local Government Association of Queensland that most local governments don't mind when they pay it, as long as there was some consistency around that, because it does make it very hard to budget when there is this inconsistency around the timing of the financial assistance grants.
Thank you. Moving on to expenditure, so total employee expenses exceed the budget by just under $90,000, primarily driven by that 10% attrition rate we've applied across the board, and we are seeing some higher costs in our casual and relief salaries in the waste and customer service area, but both of these areas have lower wage and salaries, so there's kind of a equal and offset there. Moving on to the Capital Works programme. Capital Works programme for 25-26 contains 415 projects, and $2.1 million of the $107 million capital budget has been spent. When we include commitments, it represents 22% of the total budget being spent, so that's a really great position to be in for the first month of the financial year. In the report, I won't go into it all now, but in the report we have highlighted the remainder, the bulk of those commitments, what that makes up for each of the big business areas. So you can go in and see kind of what outstanding commitments are there and when they're expected to be raised. As always, the report includes council's borrowings and then our investment performance as well. So a pretty good position to be in for that first month of the financial year. Just that financial assistance grant is throwing off the numbers, particularly in the revenue area. So the recommendation is that council receive and note the 25-26 financial performance report for July 2025.
Thank you. Councillor Chewy.
Thank you, through the Chair. Just a couple of questions. We've switched over very recently to payable and easy bill. I think it's what's called.
Yep.
Yeah. What has the feedback been on that? I know it's advertised very well on the radio. I hear it all the time. So has there been great pickup, and have people been treating our customer service people well with the changes as well? Thank you.
So I guess just to pick up on a slight bit of your wording there, we haven't switched to payable. It's an additional way to pay for our ratepayers. So we haven't got rid of any of the other ways to pay. You can still pay at Australia Post, you can come into the customer service centres, but you can also pay by a new flexible payment system called Payable. The uptake has been great. 1% of all of our ratepayers are using Payable, which doesn't sound a lot, but we're only 1 week into our rates period, 1%. So we are seeing, I've looked at the stats this morning, We've got a rating of 4, just over 4.6 out of 5, which is fantastic. This is split. There's a whole heap of different payments going through, split across auto pay, so that would automatically take their payment as soon as we get to due date, prepays, catch up, so there's kind of a whole heap of different ways people are choosing to pay, which is fantastic, weekly, fortnightly, monthly as well. And the feedback I've just written down we've had is brilliant, very easy to process, great to be able to pay off my existing rates and then start paying off my next rates. So that's payable, we're getting some really good feedback on that. And then Easy Bill, yeah, our uptake's about 30%, which I think we said in the report last month. We haven't seen a huge increase since the rates notice have gone out with the $2.20 charge, but it has been trickling in of people wanting to switch over to Easy Bill. Just going back to that payable piece, just to remind everyone that this is externally funded and it's expected to be cost neutral to council by the middle of year 2, and there is no additional cost to use that service. So there's no additional cost. It's exactly the same as if you were going to come into the customer service downstairs. There's no additional cost to the ratepayer.
As long as you pay it on time.
As long as you pay on time, thank you, yes.
That's right.
Sorry, through the chair, thank you. Just if people still want to sign up for Easy Bill, our customer service people can still offer assistance on that because
Absolutely.
yeah, it's never too late.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. And
Thank
we
you.
encourage people to sign up.
Just explain what Easy Bill is actually the option that you have to not have a paper copy of your rates notice and be charged the $2.20 rate. So if you don't want to be charged at $2.20 and you're happy to have it by email, then that's what Easy Bill is about. Councillor McLeod.
Sorry, through the chair, just to follow on with that, payable actually gives you can actually go on and see what your balance is as well, correct?
Yep.
So it's a great tool to know where you're at, yeah, and track your payments and everything like that. So thank you.
We've got a question back on page 2 where the revenue, it says rates are under budget due to water consumption accrual. Could you just elaborate a bit more on what that is about?
So at this time of year, we obviously in July, we haven't issued the rates yet. We haven't recognised the rates revenue. So there's an accrual that we do for income related to 24-25. So it's not related to the 25-26 year. You'll see it in every report that we do in July at this time of year. If we did our rates in July, this wouldn't even kind of show up as a issue. It's a negative in a revenue line, which always kind of is a red flag, and I'm glad you've highlighted it today. But it really is just something we do in the background to capture that revenue that relates to the 24-25 financial year.
Very good. Did you read the recommendation?
I think I did. Yeah.
Happy to move, Councillor Littlemore. Happy to second, Councillor Jessup. Any further comments? Those in favour? Carried, thank you. I just want to make a little announcement that I just want to congratulate and thank Miss Peters for her service at Cassowary Coast Regional Council. You've been a credit to the team, and it's very sad to see you be going, but anyway, you've got to do what you've got to do, and wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you.
And yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And now I invite you to do the
I was going to say, now I've got to do another one.
Understood. Is this your last one? Is this your last one?
That's my last
Yes,
report.
this
Right.
is the last one.
I'll try not to mess it up. All right. The financial sustainability strategy for from 2025 to 2030. So the financial sustainability strategy is a new strategy proposed for council, which provides council with a long-term framework for managing its financial resources responsibly to ensure the continued delivery of quality services, renewal of assets, and investment in the community. It outlines the principles, objectives, performance measures that will guide decision-making, aligns with Council's corporate plan and the organisation's ability to respond to both current and emerging challenges. It's no surprise local governments across Queensland, across Australia, are operating within a dynamic environment, fluctuating economic conditions and community expectations, which are constantly evolving. So the strategy itself outlines 5 strategic objectives across different areas of council. So they are diversifying revenue streams, sustainable asset management, operational efficiency, cash flow and reserve management, and community engagement and transparency. This strategy will be reviewed and reported on annually. So there's some really clear targets that council should strive to achieve over the next 5 years to remain financially sustainable. So the recommendation is that council adopt the financial sustainability strategy for 2025 to 2030 as presented within this report, and encourage everyone to go out and read it.
Any comments? Councillor Jessup?
Yes, I really like this. I think that anyone that's interested in finding out about what council is and stands for, we're highly regarded for our governance, and I think that people can actually get a better picture of what they're looking at by reading something like this. So well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Baines?
I'd reiterate Councillor Jessup's words there. This is a great piece of work. It is a great read, so I do encourage the community to have a look at this, because it's about future vision. We're not making decisions day to day. This is about where we're positioning ourselves. I will say that the Cassowary Coast Regional Council punches above its weight. We do really well in this space. Thank you to the councillors and your leadership in reports like this and policies like this, because it's very important for us to... I mean, I know roads, rates and rubbish are very prominent in people's minds, but we've got to think about where the Cassowary Coast is going to be in 2030, in 2040, in 2080. They're the thing. We can start positioning ourselves into those places now, and especially with the great leadership of Miss Peters over the last couple of years, and thank you personally. From my point of view, you've been very helpful to me in this space, and also you've positioned the organisation wonderfully for your successor to keep moving and keep coming along. So thank you to yourself and the team, and I'm very happy to move this recommendation.
Sure, second.
Thank you, and seconded by Councillor Jessup. I guess, you know, it's pretty exciting that we've thought ahead and have a long-term management for the financials now, and this will pan out and hopefully give us opportunities to, as you said, diversify revenue streams to ease the burden on our ratepayers. So, you know, thinking ahead and trying to look into the future and find opportunities that we haven't found in the past, and being able to work that out over a long-term plan is very important. So yes, I thank you and the team for all of this work. So we've got a mover and a seconder. Those in favour? Thank you.
Great, thank you everyone.
And thanks again, and be sad to see you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We now move on to the climate policy, and we will invite Mr. Anderson up to present. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Mayor. Good morning, Council's executive leadership team, and many thanks for the opportunity to present on this report. So the intent of this policy today is to provide the strategic framework for Council to manage its climate change responsibilities by using a combination of climate change mitigation and also adaptation strategies. This policy does align with Council's existing commitments under the Reef Guardian Action Plan, recently again endorsed this earlier this year, our Eco Certification Space, our Coastal Hazard Adaptation Strategy, our Healthy Waterways Partnership, and also finally, but not at least, our Far North Queensland FNQ Rock Queensland Climate Resilient Councils program. So the intent in this policy is to undertake our responsibilities using 10 key principles and also 3 provisions, and I'll just quickly go through those now, and some examples as well. So the first principle is to recognise and understand Council's risk profile and vulnerabilities associated with climate change. Second one is to maintain a greenhouse gas inventory, but also develop a corporate emissions reduction profile to understand how we can reduce our own organisational carbon footprint. A good example of this is recent work by our commercial services team in terms of a fleet rationalisation project. So it's good in terms of financial sustainability, but also at the same time reduces our carbon footprint. Another principle is to develop and implement climate change mitigation actions. Good example of those is solar, where we currently generate around 1.7 meg from solar already installed through our infrastructure services team, and also looking at a future power purchasing agreement where we have the collective energy purchasing across the region. Develop and implement a number of climate change adaptation actions to strengthen council's resilience. An example of that is doing some work in terms of urban heat, but also using nature-based solutions in terms of managing our coastal hazards within the region. Also, very importantly, is our ability to, through this policy, to seek external funding opportunities to implement this policy. Good example again, infrastructure services, 300k associated with our solar program has been implemented, but also recently 240,000k from another federal grant process to look at our building efficiencies in areas such as LED lighting, but also air conditioning, etc., which is yet to be implemented. Another principle is to protect our existing carbon sinks. Again, our Bushland Reserve Network does provide some credit. We're going through a process of trying to provide some credit applications in the non-statutory place, which obviously will provide an income to council in the future. Progress the use of our carbon offsets where appropriate, and we have established 2 1-hectare blocks at Nins Creek, but also adjacent to Innisfail State School. And these not only bring a credit into council itself, but also provides, in that leadership space, provides demonstration sites to landholders to wish to also look for other farm revenue moving forward, or landholders looking for other revenues. Again, and that endorses the next principle, which is that demonstrating climate change leadership to the Cassowary Coast community. It also gives us the ability to participate in those appropriate national, state and regional groups, looking at that shared information around climate change, and also finally to comply with any applicable legal requirements that may become either now or in the future. An example of that is if you look to expand our environmental authority associated with our waste operations, then we need to account for our carbon footprint moving forward. So they're basically a summary of the 10 main principles of the policy. And the next is the 3, and very important part of the policy, the 3 provisions that exist in the policy. So the first provision is that any mitigation or adaptation strategy or action that is undertaken needs to be detailed within the corporate plan, or continue to be detailed in the corporate plan where it currently is, but also into our operational plan as well, and again requires that council approval process, including that relevant budget process. The second one is any management of a financial gain, that credit that I talked about in terms of those carbon credit blocks, but also the non-statutory space where we can use our leverage from our Bushland Reserve Maintenance Program, but also our solar program to enter into the non-statutory credit market. Then any financial gain from those market mechanisms will be allocated to a constrained reserve, so it can be used for a related climate mitigation or adaptation action. And again, that requires also budget consideration and obviously council support for that activity. An example of that, if we wish to put in a grant where for solar power to increase our solar power or energy storage such as battery, and we require a 50% contribution from council, then those different areas can access that budget to be able to do that. And finally, a net zero target arrangement is not considered as part of this policy, but will be considered in future iterations, reviews of this policy. But that again, that will require a council sign off, like we are here today, undertaking that. Finally, the policy establishes a working group so we can undertake a range of support and reporting on the integration of the actions that come out of the policy through both the corporate and operational planning. And that will also coincide with our Reef Garden Action and Council, but also our sustainability work, so that one working group will cover all 3 mechanisms rather than having a triple up. In terms of consultation and communication of this organisational reduction activity, we obviously approached councillors and executive leadership team, Cassowary Coast Natural Assets Management Advisory Committee, which is made up of a number of industry stakeholders, state government departments, energy providers, and obviously council itself, and also our senior leadership team. And again, lastly but not least, Maria there at FNQ Rock, which obviously council is a member of. So accordingly, a recommendation as council, adopt the Cassowary Coast climate policy and then seek to implement policy outcomes across all council operations. I'm very happy to take any queries.
Councillor Chewy.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Just going back to the working group, could you just give a little more detail about how people, who might be included and how they might become involved? Please.
For sure. And thank you very much. Through the Chair, thank you very much for that question, Councillor Trudy. So effectively, we'll be looking at all different areas of the organisation which have skin in the game, for the want of another term, associated with some of these activities. So power purchasing agreements, we obviously need our procurement and financial team. In terms of maintenance of our establishing a carbon credit block, for example, then obviously that has our infrastructure services team, but also a development environment team.
So it's not going out to the general public. We're not getting groups from the public to become part of this group is probably my question.
So again, thanks for the question. So the advisory committee does have industry stakeholders on that, and anyone can, such as the Progress Association, a group like that can apply to be part of that, and we have had some of those early conversations. So that's probably a dedicated external focus, but again, the policy of this is looking at the organisational carbon footprint moving forward.
Councillor Littlemore.
Thank you, Chair. We've just adopted a financial sustainability strategy, and one of the comments in the report talks about financial sustainability, but there's a raging debate at the present time about Australia's efforts to net zero and the cost of that to the community. So, Mr. Anderson, can we be assured as a council that financial sustainability will be as important as chasing carbon sequestration and whatever other methods we might choose to mitigate our greenhouse footprint?
Through the Chair, Councillor Lamell, thanks very much for that question. So 100%, my team and the broader Development Environment Department put input into that financial sustainability report that Hannah brought to us earlier today, and carbon credits as a way of generating revenue was included in part of that. Also, effectively, us seeking that external funding for around solar will reduce some of our operational costs. And as an example, I went down and had a look at Rockhampton's tip site, where their annual operational cost is 1.5 million electricity costs. So any offsetting of that through solar and subsequent energy storage obviously enhances that financial sustainability that Council was seeking from that previous report.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson.
I think through the Chair, if we can add the objective 1 in the financial sustainability strategy talked about reducing our reliance on ratepayers, and certainly one of the focuses there in 3 was exploring innovative revenue, and that includes the carbon credits and the recent project looking at stacking carbon credits with biodiversity credits. So our Cassowary credit trial said is something that's scalable for industry as well, but also scalable for council moving forward. Chair, we did bring a report back in 2022. The infrastructure team brought a report about our existing position at that point around the solar program, and it has expanded significantly from there. But back then, I think, whilst measuring tonnes of carbon, there was 1,600 tonnes of carbon that had been reduced through that. But probably more importantly to the question, back then, the annual solar production value was $175,000 a year, and the annual solar power saving was $545,000. So obviously that's been a compounding saving year on year. We probably don't record that, and this policy is looking at how we can actually capture those savings and reinvest. So a lot of the grant funding that's been talked about today requires a 50% investment. Those that have experienced the frustration when the air conditioning kicks in or fails to kick in at the Innisfail Library, that grant funding is putting in a more energy efficient HVAC unit into the Innisfail Library. So we do a great job with our leasing and actually quarantining some of the savings from the depreciation there and putting those back into grants for the community, particularly our major infrastructure grants. But this policy is looking at how we can better capture, recognise the savings that we are seeing year on year through solar, through in the future some of these more innovative opportunities like the Cassowary credits.
I think there's just a worry around the net zero target. We see so much about it on TV, and people are really feeling they're feeling very maybe cheated, or that this net zero comes back and bites them again and means that it's going to cost them more money for, we look at things like, and this is only a personal opinion, but things like wind farms and all those types of things that are supposed to bring us a circular economy, and yet we don't know where we're going to put the blades once they're out of use. And does it really save us, and is it really meeting the targets that we need? I guess you've said in here that this arrangement is not about council reaching net zero targets. So I just want to reiterate that point with you about this policy.
Very happy to take that point on board, Madam Mayor. Very happy.
I just, because people just read words and they see net zero target, and then that just pans out that Cassowary Coast Regional Council is now going to chase net zero targets, which the way I read the policy is that this is more about us being more sustainable and making better choices with the way we do business, so that we can, in order to reduce costs to the ratepayer, not extenuate their costs.
Yeah, that's correct, Madam Mayor. And the intent of this policy, by specifically saying that we're not going to establish a net zero target, is to take all those side conversations off so we can focus on those efficiencies, but also those opportunities are now being presented from the range of mechanisms that are in place that we're looking at.
Through the chair, I think two people talk about greenwashing and the conversation, when I think the good thing in this policy is that there's some really tangible examples. This isn't just words, and 3,500 trees that went in a couple of weeks ago for our Cassowary credit trial demonstrates that there is action. It's not just about putting words into here. Our work in the solar space, and as has been presented today, each of those objectives, there's some really tangible and measurable outcomes that have already been achieved. Like you said, only provide a benefit to council over the long term from a financial point of view.
Yeah. Councillor Jessup.
Yes, I was just wondering what sort of risks are around this if we don't implement this document?
Thanks very much for the question, through the chair. So there's a lot of grants, or those funding opportunities come out, query around council's commitment in this space, and an example of the recent work in terms of upgrading the Mundoon Airport, where Air Services Australia wanted to know how the work or activity that was being undertaken or being presented by the submission, how that would assist Air Services Australia in terms of reducing or addressing some of their carbon footprint issues. So us not having that policy in place, and even other mechanisms as well in place, when we put that application in, then obviously we're in that competitive nature against other organisations that may have positions such as this in place. So then obviously it is something that those people that are applying for it, or staff that are applying for it, can say, this is the policy we have adopted by council, and it has a number of these issues in there.
And becoming compliant. Yeah. Very good. I'm happy to move.
Councillor Littlemore.
Through the chair. Chair, given that there are significant grant opportunities, and given the statement by Mr Anderson just now that in the absence of policies like this, we may well be behind the eight ball, and given the aggression with which the federal government is pursuing net zero, I'm happy to second, whereas otherwise I may not have been happy to second this motion. So I second the motion.
Councillor Baines?
Thank you, Chair. This is a great conversation, and I really value the councillors' support in this space. This policy, again, is about opportunity. That we really have opportunity. I know there's a lot of ideological discussion, especially when we start saying net zero, but ESG economy is very strong. Madam Mayor, Councillor Jessup, I think Councillor McLeod, it's been mentioned in the audit committee, you know, these are opportunities. So same with companies wanting to invest. It's about opportunity. How can we benefit their works and then receive the benefit of their investment into our regions? The Reef 2050 plan is now up for draft, so it's going out towards the community. The greatest threat to the Great Barrier Reef, according to the plan, is climate change. It's an international issue. It's not something we can fix here individually by ourselves, but it's about us all being part of it. What is really encouraging me about the new direction that the plan is going towards is it's values-based. That's not just environmental values. It's about community values. It's about economic values. It's about cultural values. It's bringing all of that stuff together, because a region like Cassowary Coast, the beating heart of the wet tropics and the birthplace of the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park, punching above its weight and doing so well in a place like this. It's showing that leadership, that willingness, that bravery to be part of the ideological discussion as well, because they're discussions that are very well worthwhile having, but we need to look at the opportunities to bring some own source income or some other alternative revenue within our region, because we're perfectly placed for it. There are companies that are desperately looking for places to spend offset money, and where better to spend it than the way where we're positioning ourselves now, the great work the environmental team are doing around these prospects, ground truthing, the layering of credits, which is something that I was at the Reef Guardian Council meetings just last week with Mr Anderson and Mr McNamara, and the other councils are astounded at the works we're doing. The co-benefits out of some of this work in the climate change space lend themselves to water quality. They save money. We're looking at alternative methods rather than building hard infrastructure around developments and drainage. Let's look at a natural source. Can we instate or rebuild a wetland very close to these things, and again get a benefit rolling out of it, and also the benefit flowing across to the people developing the sites and ultimately the people buying the sites and building their houses. We're the perfect space for this, and I'm very sorry I didn't get to move all second, so I'm going to third it about 8 times, because this is a great policy to have in place, and I congratulate the team and I congratulate the councillors for your support in this space. We really do punch above our weight, and the Cassowary Coast region are seen as leaders in this space. So thank you.
Through you, Chair, the comment around opportunity, the Mayor and I met with Minister Powell in Cairns recently and discussed one of the greatest opportunities is the Olympics coming up and the carbon positive Olympics there. The state will be looking, and they won't be able to, they'll be looking for offsets as they move closer to the games, and our real opportunity is not in buying offsets for ourselves, but actually selling and exporting those offsets for things like the Olympics, because the legacy here won't be large stadiums and infrastructure. The legacy here will be, a financial legacy, hopefully, that we can generate through those offsets and the ongoing benefit that we can see.
I suppose really, so while we might understand what we're talking about with those offsets, a lot of people out there don't understand what that means. And when you say selling the offsets, they think that we're going to sell parts of the Cassowary Coast. So maybe we could explain that a bit better so that people realise that what the benefit is and how it's benefited.
Well, I think that, I mean, both Councillor Baines and Mr Anderson can speak to this much more eloquently than I can, but the layering of these credits, so trees sequester carbon, there's a measure there to measure how much carbon is sequestered or taken out of the environment and put back into the physical state of those trees. And there's a value to that, and that value is either through an Australian market where there's a fixed value, or there's also an international market for that where, talk about the ESG economy, where some of these businesses are paying to offset for the benefit. What's clever in the Cassowary credits is the team's done an amazing job, getting rid of weeds and improving the biodiversity in that same area. And somehow we managed to see a cassowary on day one, but it's then a more less tangible measurement of how the biodiversity in that area, and that then can be sold through a separate market. So the same plot of land can have this layering of the Australian carbon credit units where we're sequestering carbon, but also the increase in biodiversity. And this is land that council had sitting stagnant. In fact, I think without our knowing, we'd loaned to a grazier for some time to have their cattle on, which is now not only a world first trial for this biodiversity credit, but also starting to sequester carbon, and over the long term will generate these credits, which we can either sell through the Australian government or potentially some agreement with the Queensland government if we move closer and there's a need for that offset.
And I believe that could then extenuate out to personal investments with farmers and people that have got unusable land that they can actually plant trees on and sell the credits, and double up on the credits with the Cassowary credits as well. Is that correct, Jeff?
Absolutely, and it doesn't stop at just carbon credits and Cassowary credits. They're building methodologies around the reef credits. They're building methodologies around biodiversity credits. And all of these credit schemes have the ability to be layered, because the most important thing for people in our region, we are heavily reliant upon agriculture, and we don't need to be closed. This is not about closing huge swathes of land.
No.
It's about finding the parcels along waterways, along drains, and if we can ground truth this concept, then the landholders will be able to be paid a value for what they're already doing. Our landholders are probably some of the greatest environmentalists in our region. They really are. They look after the land, but there are, and again, it's another ideological discussion from the other side of the table, Councillor Littlemore, that these people should be closing up these swathes of land and just planting trees. We can do this stuff together. We can make it work together. Find the pieces, especially along the waterways, but the landholders need to be paid a value for that. That they need to make as much money as they can. We all know how hard it is to make a dollar anymore in any space. So this is identifying that the money is not necessarily going to come out of your tax dollars, because a lot of these credit schemes, the money's sourced externally. So it's either coming from corporates, it's coming from philanthropics. So another great discussion is we're paying all these tax dollars and it's being put into those projects. Now this is about a value coming in externally that isn't purely government money, because government money is finite. We all know that. We can't pay more taxes. We don't want to pay more rates. But these are the opportunities that are in place. And it's it seems like a little piece of policy, but it's a very, very important piece of policy. And I think there'll also be a benefit. It'll help us with our insurance premiums into the future. Probably a question I should have asked Miss Peters while she was in the room, but I'm sure it does influence our insurance premiums, that we acknowledge these things.
So a great example of that was probably when we went out to that farm and had a look where they planted all of that, the edge of that river, and it's helped with the erosion, and that farmer was so impressed, and I'm impressed with what he showed me that day, and I didn't fully understand until I went out there and saw it for myself. I totally understand. But there was one more thing that I just wanted to add to that, and that was the fact that the audit committee is making this a reportable document now that we have to actually report on climate change. So whilst we can sit here and say that we're doing these policies for other reasons, we also are going to be on the game when it comes to reporting because we've got all this in place. So.
That's it. Because it's the Queensland Audit Office,
Yeah.
not just our committee.
Yeah.
It's also the federal government,
Yeah.
and it's internationally. This is about us being in front of the game. And taking the opportunities. It's not about us trying to lock land up or trying to make things hard on people or trying to make more rules.
Yeah.
This is about us stepping into the right space and being in front of the opportunities.
Okay, so we've had a mover and a seconder. Those in favour? Thank you. Thank you very much for that. We now move on to additions to the sole supplier list, and Mr. McKevitt will present.
Not quite as exciting as the last report. Apologies. Yeah, true. That's true. So, the purpose of this report is to recommend 3 additions to the sole specialised or confidential nature services supplier list 2025. Those 3 additional recommended suppliers are the Queensland Water Directorate, Acceptance Group, and Cairns Local News trading as the Observer Cassowary Coast. So, under Section 235 of the Local Government Regs, it allows council to enter into a medium or large-sized contract without first inviting written quotes or tenders if A, that local government resolves that it is satisfied there is only one supplier who is reasonably available, or the local government resolves that because of the specialised or confidential nature of, got some stuck in my throat, confidential or specialised nature of the services that are sought, it would be impractical or disadvantageous for the local government to invite quotes or tenders. So the intent of that is to obviously promote administrative gains in our operations with officers. If there's only one supplier, we don't want that those teams going out to tender or quote when it wouldn't give any advantage to council. So just a bit more information on those 3 suppliers that we're recommending today. Queensland Water Directorate, so that's used by our water team for our SWIM local data management. So that's a software used by that department for mandatory reporting of our water and sewerage. It's also the supplier we play for our Queensland Water membership. So that's a group that sit together. It's an industry body that pretty much recommends best practice in Queensland Water. The estimated annual expenditure with that entity is around $20,000 exclusive of GST. So the next supplier on that is Acceptance Septage Screens. So without going into the, pardon the pun, nitty gritty. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I think that's a good idea. A septic screen is a pre-treatment device that removes your solids, your grits, your grease, all that sort of stuff, and some other bits. We're at a point where some of those septic screens in our treatment plants are reaching end of life, and over the next couple of years they'll need to be replaced. Obviously, the ones we've got in there now are designed for those specific bits of infrastructure. So the team have put this forward to directly engage with Acceptance as they fit our infrastructure that will minimise the downtime. And they're also a good product that's proven through the life of those treatment plants. So the final, third and final, is the exciting one, which is Cassowary Coast's new newspaper, The Observer. So that's obviously just come into play, which is why it wasn't on the report last month. Again, it's the only provider of our local newspaper, so we're seeking to directly engage with those, with that company. Cairns Local News trading is the Cassowary Coast Observer. The contract for that would be around, estimated expenditure around $11,000 per annum for council advertisements. Just to note that even though they are accepted to this list, the same procurement governance does apply. So we'll still follow the policy, still follows, goes to the procurement review board if necessary. I'll move on to the recommendation that council resolve in accordance with section 235A and 235B of the local government regs that it is satisfied that the 3 additions listed are sole suppliers and or suppliers of specialised or confidential nature services. It's a mouthful. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Sorry, just a question, Mr. McKevitt. So if we, and not just directly at these three, but anybody that's on our sole supplier list, if somebody new comes to town and opens a business that is challenges that opinion that they're not sole, what happens then?
That's absolutely. So in this report, just through the chair, we have got a risk in there that if we endorse this, a supplier who is not mentioned on this list
Yeah.
may come and challenge,
Yeah.
and we encourage that. So the mechanism to do that would be to email through to the inquiries or directly to the purchasing team or procurement team, and we can take it from there. And given the recommendation, we would be then reviewing that list and perhaps removing them from that sole specialised supplier
Very
list.
good. So there's always opportunities out there if somebody comes to town or something
Yep.
new comes to light that we can go back and have a change.
Yeah.
Bit of move. I also believe that today is your last day for presentation as well, Mr. McKevitt. So
Thought I might have got away with that.
I don't sit here and want to do this, but thank you for your services to the Cassowary Coast Regional Council, and it's been a credit all the work that you've done, given that we didn't have such a wonderful procurement system before, but now we have. So on behalf of my fellow councillors and myself, we would like to thank you and wish yourself and Hannah well in your new story, you could say. And all the best, and sad to see you go, mate.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers. And again, thanks for the support, and definitely couldn't have worked without an executive and a council that really value procurement. So thank you to you all too.
No problem. We shouldn't have let you go and get married, see? So we've got a mover and a seconder, so those in favour. Thank you. Have a good day.
Cheers.
Can we just take 5 minutes, please? Thank you.
Important recommendation seeks Council's approval to enter into a facility use agreement with the Innisfail District Tennis Association Incorporated for the tennis courts and clubhouse at 80 Fitzgerald Esplanade, Innisfail, and transfer of ownership of all the improvements to the club. Under the Local Government Regulation 2012, this transfer is classed as a disposal of a valuable non-current asset. An exception applies in Division 4 of this regulation where the disposal is to a community organisation subject to a council resolution. Innisfail District Tennis Association qualifies under this exception and meets council's community use of assets policy. The club are a stable and active club in Innisfail's sporting community. They have a strong membership of almost 150 members and are committed to continuing to offer tennis coaching, social and competitive tennis tournaments, pickleball, and to upkeep the safe and functional courts and facilities. The agreement provides security of tenure to the club, enhances access to external funding, ensures continued community use of the facility, and delivers positive financial savings for council, notably depreciation of $26,109 per annum. The recommendation is that council firstly apply the exception contained in section 236 1B2 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 to grant a facility use agreement to Innisfail and District Tennis Association Incorporated as a community organisation containing the following terms. The user being Innisfail and District Tennis Association Incorporated. Facility is tennis courts and clubhouse at 80 Fitzgerald Esplanade, being part of Lot 97 on SP 352333. Term of 5 years. Fee $1 per annum if demanded. Outgoings, rates and charges. The permitted use as a tennis club and any associated and ancillary uses. And ownership of the improvements, council transfers to the user all its right, title and interest in the tennis improvements on the land, being the tennis clubhouse, the courts, fencing and lighting. Secondly, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to execute the facility use agreement on behalf of the council. And thirdly, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to take all necessary steps to ensure compliance with all terms and conditions of that facility use agreement. Thank you. If there are any questions.
Councillor McLeod.
Yeah, thank you through the chair. First, I'd like to move it, but also another congratulations to yourself and Mr. Valenti and the team, well, very small team, for getting another community group into an asset and, you know, saving our ratepayers, you know, nearly $30,000 in depreciation, which is a huge win. So thank you, and thank you for the continued great work that you guys do. And yeah, I wanted to move that, please.
Councillor Chewy.
Thank you. Yes, well done. Ms Larson, could you just clarify, so this now wholly and solely is the responsibility of the Innisfail Tennis Club Association?
Through the chair, that's correct. This club actually built that facility and they've maintained it, so this is securing tenure.
Okay. So they can now do whatever any changes they wish to make, they can just proceed?
Through the chair, they would have to pass those recommendations through council for approval in line with this facility.
Okay, thank you. They just wanted some clarity. And they could potentially also hire it out for whatever, if there was another function or something. They can. It's all they just can do whatever they need to make it a viable.
Through the chair, they would have to seek approval from council.
Okay, thank you.
And it'd have to be in line with the conditions of that agreement.
And the $26,000 saved through depreciation, just give an outline on where that, how do ratepayers see that money?
So
if that makes sense to you. Yeah.
Through the chair, that's an annual recurring saving to council, ongoing.
Through the chair, we do capture a portion of all of those depreciation savings, and they're put into a grant fund. So that is one of the carrots, I guess, that officers can use when they're engaging with these community groups, is if they do enter into an agreement with council and have tenure over that property, they can then apply for the grant fund. I think we've got $125,000 in the budget this year under that program. I think the Mission Beach Tennis Club was one of the big winners out of that last year, with $30,000 awarded for some repairs to the decking in their facility.
I think, and previous to that, I think we saw the Tully Tennis Club also benefit from an agreement, and they've since done some big works down there as well. So it whilst it seems like we're putting the onus back on them, there are great benefits for them to be able to improve their clubs and clubhouses and whatnot. So, Councillor Baines.
And further to that, I think there's a great benefit to the clubs, because it opens them up for that ability to apply for some grants that local governments are just not eligible for.
Yeah.
But the local sporting associations, whether it be tennis or football or whomever, they have those opportunities. Again, talking to council, having that discussion with council, because looking at large improvements, etc., has to get some form of agreement through us under the agreement. Excuse me, I'm double entendre now, but a great piece of work. Thank you. Good.
So, was there any when you had the discussions with the group, like, were they willing and they wanted to have this happen?
Absolutely.
There was no kickback or
No, absolutely, because the club actually have managed that site for so long. This gives them more security. So any grants, we're happy to do letters of support to the group, and we encourage them to take back the assets.
So, what would happen in the case where just say that it became defunct? What would happen then?
In that case, it would revert back to council, but we would have to approach ideally we would approach other groups as an alternative.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Chewy. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed your first report.
Another one.
Oh, you are too. Look at you go. We now move on to 6.2, Halley Services, and Ms Larson will present this as well.
Thank you. Through the chair, council received a request from the directors of Halley Services Queensland Proprietary Limited, the existing tenant of lease area C at Innisfail Mundu Aerodrome, for the renewal of their lease under section 236 of the Local Government Regulation 2012. Council cannot enter into a valuable non-current asset contract without tender or auction unless an exception under Division 4 is applicable. This request meets the criteria for renewal to an existing tenant with rent assessed at or above the market value by a registered valuer. Council may resolve to apply the exception. An independent valuation has assessed the market rental, which will be payable along with rates. The tenant's responsible for repairs, maintenance, insurance and payment of outgoings. Council does not own any of the hangar improvements or assets in lease area C. So the grant of this lease at Innisfail Mundu Aerodrome will continue to support aviation-based business operations in the region, delivering local investment, economic growth and employment. The recommendation is that Council apply the exception contained in section 236(1)(c)(3) of the Local Government Regulation 2012 to grant a lease to Halley Services Proprietary Limited, Queensland, containing the following terms. Lessee, Halley Services Queensland Proprietary Limited, over premises lease area C, lot 99 on SP 169226, Mundu Aerodrome, Mundu. The the term of 10 years being 1st of September 2025 to the 31st of August 2035. Rent of $5,417.12 per annum plus GST. Rental reviews are annually with the CPI plus a market review in year 6. Outgoings, rates and charges are payable by the lessee. Permitted use, aircraft including helicopters, a hangar for the conduct of an aerial spraying business and ancillary purposes. Ownership of the buildings, the lessee retains all its rights, title and interest in the improvements constructed on the land, and if necessary, the council transfers any interest it has in those improvements to the lessee. Secondly, to authorise the Chief Executive Officer to negotiate the final terms of the lease consistent with the above terms and execute that lease on behalf of the council as lessor. And thirdly, to authorise the Chief Executive Officer to ensure ongoing compliance with all terms and conditions of the lease.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions? Pretty straightforward. Happy to move. Seconded by Councillor Pervin. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day. We move on to 7.1, where we have MCU, and Ms Perkins will present.
Morning, Madam Mayor,
Good
councillors.
morning, how are you?
Well, yourself?
Yeah, good, thank you.
What's not to be good about this weather?
I know, right?
Sensational. Okay, today we have a couple of development applications. We're going to start with MCU 25/0011. So the application seeks a development permit for a material change of use to establish a service station to be operated as a 24-hour unmanned diesel fuel truck stop. The application has been prepared by Urban Planet Town Planning Consultants on behalf of Woodham Petroleum Services Proprietary Limited. This application is proposed within the Township Zone Tully Industry Precinct and is on land described as Lot 1 on RP 800-935, situated at Bruce Highway, Tully. The proposed service station is a diesel fuel truck stop, incorporates a 110 kilolitre self-bunded dual compartment above ground fuel tank, which is divided into 100 kilolitres of diesel storage and 10 kilolitres of AdBlue storage. It will operate as an unmanned cashless point of sale. The fuel pumps will be accessible to Woodham's commercial heavy vehicle customer base, and the facility is not likely to be patronised with light vehicles from the general public. The service station will operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, similar to unmanned service stations of Woodham's cashless business model, which operates at various locations throughout the country. An existing light industry use is located at the rear of the site, and access to the site is via a shared signalised intersection to the Bruce Highway opposite Dean Road. The access is shared with the current existing light industrial use on the site and the adjoining Lindsay Brothers Transport located to the adjoining lot on the south. The development includes a self-bunded fuel tank with dual fuel dispensers. Fill points will be located within a cabinet that is part of the self-bunded tank, and vents are built into the self-bunded tank along with automatic tank gouging system incorporating electronic leak detection. A canopy is proposed to provide cover to the refuelling area, and the development would also include a 3.4 square metre freestanding sign to be located on the front boundary and visible to passing customers. Customers will enter the service station from the Bruce Highway and approach the fuel pump by a loop driveway from the southeast and then leave via the loop driveway before exiting to the Bruce Highway. An amenities block is provided adjacent to the fill point forecourt to the east, providing restroom facilities for fuel stop patrons. The consolidation of existing and proposed industrial uses on this site is considered ideal, as the site is serviced by a state-controlled road which is identified as a freight transport route and promotes existing and complementary industrial activities within the Tully Industry Precinct. The application triggered referral to the State Assessment Referral Agency, known as SARA, and they have provided a response on 3rd of June 2025. This application is impact assessable and required public notification. No submissions were received by council during the public notification period. Located within the urban footprint and generally consistent with the provisions of the Regional Plan and the Cassowary Coast Regional Council Planning Scheme, the application for material change use for a service station and associated advertising device is recommended for approval and subject to reasonable and relevant conditions, which are shown in attachment 1 of the agenda. Happy to answer any questions.
Councillor Chewy?
Thank you, Ms Larson. Just regarding the signage, and I don't know if it's made clear, will it be quite clear that it is only for designated PEEP drivers that can use that facility? I can just see people at 2 a.m. driving from Townsville thinking they're going to fuel up, and the ability to turn in potentially. I know there's lots of other service stations, but I'm just hoping that the signage will be quite clear who can use that site, if that makes sense to you.
Through the chair, to my knowledge, it will just be a price point signage, of Woodham Petroleum Services price point signage. And the applicant has confirmed that you will need to be a Woodham customer to use this facility and have a customer access card.
So so there'll be a gate to actually, will you be accessing the site with the card or accessing the fuel?
The pump.
The pump,
Pump,
okay,
correct.
I'm just,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
Any further questions? Well, since there was no submissions and we haven't had any banter about it, doesn't look like you've moved by council a little more. Happy to second. Councillor McLeod. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. Can move on to the next one.
So I'll present this one as well. So this one is another development application, MCU 25/0013. The application seeks a development permit for a material change use for a warehouse, which will be a caravan storage facility. This application has been prepared by Milford Planning Consultants on behalf of Rancho 6 Proprietary Limited. The application is proposed within the Township Zone and Greater Mission Beach Business Precinct on land described as Lot 3 on RP 747514, situated at Tully Mission Beach Road, Mission Beach. The development application seeks to provide an alternative storage option for recreational vehicles during the off-season, reducing the need for parking on residential streets or private lots. The facility will primarily serve the local community, providing storage for those who seasonally use their caravans and lack space to store them at home. The development proposes to include 1,948 square metres gravel hard stand area to be secured by mesh fencing along the northern and southern boundaries. A 6 metre wide driveway with crossover onto Tully Mission Beach Road will provide access to the site. At the eastern end of the lot, a vegetated buffer area is proposed to be established to support the Cassowary corridor, which has been identified on the lot. The front of the lot will feature landscaping adjacent to the entry gate, and a small promotional sign is proposed to be placed on the fence near the gate, identifying the business and the property. The facility will operate as needed, with a local resident available to open the gate during business hours 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. The business will include a contact number on the signage at the front gate for customer convenience. Access to the site will be via a 6 metre wide driveway from Tully Mission Beach Road, and vehicles will not be parked on the site except when dropping off their recreational vehicles. The application triggered referral to the State Assessment Referral Agency, given the proximity to the state-controlled road, and the state has provided a response on 18th of June 2025, granting access from Tully Mission Beach Road, for which the applicant will further need to apply for a permit to construct that driveway. This application was impact assessable and required public notification. 0 submissions were received by council during the public notification period. Vegetation will be established behind the front security fence to serve as a buffer, enhancing privacy and providing an additional layer of security to users accessing the storage area. The design will respect the natural environment by retaining a vegetation zone at the rear of the lot supporting biodiversity and sustainability and the movement within the Cassowary corridor. The proposed development maximises the efficient use of the currently vacant lot, which is located within the Greater Mission Beach Business Precinct and urban footprint. The proposed development has been designed to integrate with the surrounding area to protect the character and amenity of its surrounds by limiting the scale and intensity of operations, whilst contributing towards economic activity and viability of a currently vacant lot. Generally consistent with the provisions of the Far North Queensland Regional Plan and the Cassowary Coast Regional Council Planning Scheme, the application for material change use for a warehouse is therefore recommended for approval subject to reasonable and relevant conditions as shown in attachment 1 of the report. Happy to answer any questions.
Councillor Chewy?
Do I get a prize? Thank you, Miss Larson. Just a couple of...
Miss Perkins.
Oh, God, I beg your pardon. Sorry. Well, I do apologise. Thank you. Getting back to what I was here for, Councillor Baines, just a couple of points. You use the term warehouse, but it's actually not a warehouse. Could you provide, actually? I know you did in the report, but just wanting to make it quite clear that it's not a building.
Through the chair, correct, it is not a building. It is simply a gravel hard stand area for the storage of recreational vehicles, which falls under the storage as the warehouse definition as defined under the Planning Act and the planning scheme.
Thank you. And do we know that they have to do more works for access from that main road? Because we've had previous applications for businesses on that road and there's been quite a significant amount of work needs to be done for access.
Through the chair, that's correct. So that was what the referral to the State Assessment Referral Agency was triggered for. So they have granted access from Tully Mission Beach Road. The applicant will now be required to apply to the Department of Transport and Main Roads for a permit to construct that access in accordance with their standards.
Okay, thank you. And we talk about a caretaker who's going to come and let vehicles in. Do we have a guarantee that there's not going to be anybody residing in these vans? Because we do know the situation, people struggling with housing, just putting it out there. And what security have we been assured that they're just going to be left there as a storage facility and not as a place for people to live?
Through the chair, there will be no electricity or water or sewage to the site. It is purely for the storage of recreational vehicles. So yeah, it has been limited so that the caretaker is responsible to ensure that is not undertaken, that activity.
Okay.
So it will be empty vehicles without residents, if you want to call them that.
Yeah, thank you. And I'd just like to add that I did put this application on my Facebook page. As I try to, if anything public notification, I do try and share it so that people, very limited comments and very little interest at all in the proposal, even though it is, in a significant Cassowary area. The comment was, as you've made, it's part of the business precinct, so therefore it does fit in with the current you know what I'm trying to say.
The intent of the planning
exactly.
scheme.
So, but there is consideration, as you talked on, for the Cassowary corridor at the back there, because we know when we drive, I think we've all driven on the road, and there are cassowaries that do tend to cross the road, whether they ought not or they just do. So there have been provisions in there to allow and to try and work together with environment as well.
Yes, through the chair. So as discussed, at the rear of the site, 900 square metres is mapped as a Cassowary corridor. The applicant has proposed to only retain 600 square metres of that. Yeah. So in lieu of the 300 square metres that they are proposing to clear, the applicant, in the conditions you would have seen, has been offered two choices. One is to retain the proposed cleared area, or the second is to provide an environmental offset of $13,000, which has been calculated in accordance with the environmental offsets policy. And that, if they choose that, council will then use that $13,000 to rehabilitate other areas that are known for cassowary movements and promote that activity elsewhere.
Thank you. Councillor Littlemore.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, given Councillor Chewy's comments about the minor number of comments on her Facebook post and the lack of objections or submissions in relation to the proposal, I'd like to move the proposal,
Okay, thank
the
you.
recommendation.
It's very interesting that there was little uptake, but anyway, it was put out there, and I also did have the conversation with a couple of those groups when we were down at Mission Beach recently, and they were clearly of the understanding that it was part of the urban development area of Mission Beach, and they, yeah, it was quite interesting. Councillor Jessup.
Yes, I can actually see a need for this in the area because there's a lot of people that do have caravans in their yards and like they say, they have nowhere to put them. So it's actually cleaning our streets up as well. So I think this is pretty much a no-brainer. Someone's willing to go ahead and put this in, and I'm happy to second it because I think it'll be used.
Very good. Any further comments? Councillor Pervin.
Yeah, just a question. It is specifically for caravan storage facility only. There won't be boats parked on there, anything like that. I mean, I know you said there's no water going there, but I don't want to happen to see boats being parked there. It becomes a washdown facility for boats and things like that.
Through the chair,
It does say recreational vehicles, and I'm presuming a boat could be a recreational vehicle.
Boat will be part of that storage, yeah, caravans. So at the end of the day, through the chair, councillor, there is specific conditions on here. If the conditions aren't aligned with or complied with, then we have the appropriate action to take under the Planning Act through enforcement processes. So it becomes a washdown area and those types of things. Those provisions haven't been provided in the application, and we haven't conditioned it that way. So if they start using the facility in that manner, then we can take enforcement action under the Act to deal with those matters.
Did you say before that there was no water to the side anyway? No.
Not at this current, through the
But
chair, not at this
however,
current
that
time.
recreational vehicles does cover caravans, RVs and boats, I believe. Is that correct?
Through the chair, yes.
Yes.
So, yes, has been limited.
Yep. Okay. So I've had a mover and a seconder. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. 7.3, application for reduction in charges relating to MCU 25/0005. Over to you, Mr. Horton.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to congratulate Michelle too on her reports because it is a big thing coming up the front and presenting to council. She's done it a couple of times now, and her confidence is growing. Confidence is growing every time she comes up. So it's nice to see, and it's nice, succession planning myself to have to come up here all the time. So
That's a dirty word.
good to see. Yeah. Don't worry, the daughters I had to shave this morning because they called me Santa Claus, so I thought it better because I am growing grey. 7.3, application for reduction in infrastructure charges relating to MCU 25/0005. It's a development application, material change of use for multiple dwellings, short-term accommodation. It was a 4 times 2 bedroom units. Used for either multiple dwellings or short term. So the land was at lot 41 on RP 712080 and situated at 29 Porter Promenade, Mission Beach. Council will be fully aware of this. We brought this to council not that long ago. We had 2 developments that day. So this is the one that was from Wright Brothers Superannuation Fund, Adapt Planning. So they've applied for 100% reduction in those charges for this development. The proposal seeks to establish a hybrid land use which allows either a permanent or short-term residence, depending on demand, within close proximity to the Village Green node, which we understand the works we're doing there at the moment. The proposal seeks to support this upgrade through infill development and offers multiple land use options under one approval to attach both visitors and permanent housing options. The proposal is considered to assist in supporting economic activation of the region. The application was approved by council subject to conditions, as we said, on the 24th of July 2025, with an infrastructure charge issued for the amount of $54,487.65. Proposed development complies with eligibility and assessment criteria and therefore is recommended that the request for 100% reduction in infrastructure charges be approved by council, provided that all works associated with the development as contained within the material change use approval and any other statutory requirements are completed prior to the 24th of July 2028, council. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Councillor Baines.
Thank you, Chair. Mr Horton, when we have these proposals come to council, there's generally a bit of discussion around, especially from some of the environmental groups, around us giving money. The perception of is we're giving money to developers. This is more about the infill policy because the infrastructure there is already in place. Is that a fair statement to make?
Yeah, through the chair, yes, it is a fair statement to make because infrastructure charges developed off the LGIP, and the LGIP talks about trunk infrastructure. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about trunk mains, trunk road networks, stormwater, things like building reservoirs, all those types of major pipelines that associated the sewage that we've put in. We're talking about an area at Mission Beach where we sewered it in 2006. That scheme is very young. When you look at Innisfail, Tully, built in the 70s, that scheme is very young. And when we put that scheme in, I was here at that time, and it catered for a lot more than's currently on it. So when we look at these types of offsets, we're looking at offsets in consideration of what is there and what can cater for it, and is there upgrades required in the future. So with the infill of this development and those components there, unless we understand that there's something that's needing upgrade, which then we can propose in this type of recommendation a certain different percentage. If we know the water main the trunk needs upgrading in that area, well, we can talk about whether we offset that by only, bringing it and recommending 66%. But this one's for 100%. We understand everything that's within that area is upgraded, and we're doing the work within the village green, which upgrades stormwater and those types of things at the current time. So, it's mainly collected for those reasons and put back into that infrastructure.
Yeah. And just further on, if that's okay with your indulgence, Chair, it's probably an important point to make because, again, this is under the LGIP. It's about trunk infrastructure. So it's not simply that we can take this money and go and spend it somewhere else. It's actually a restricted fund that is specifically for these purposes.
Through the chair, it goes into a fund. It used to be split up into individual areas years ago, but now under the Act we can put it into one fund, and then council makes a decision on where they wish to use the money moving forward. If there's a big project and needs to be delivered, this type of infrastructure charge money can be provided to that. If you're upgrading a major park and you need equipment in that park and those types of things, and it's a benefit for the community, well, that's what that money's for.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
But
Councillor McLeod.
Sorry, just a comment. We've seen a lot of vacant land sit dormant down there for quite a long time, and it is great to see these projects coming for this to be built. So, before we're only getting vacant land rates from it, once these are built, we'll be getting extra rates, water, sewage and all the rest of it. So these are great positive stories, getting more buildings built to, increase our ratepayer base, which is, better in the long run for everybody. So this is great to see. Yeah. And thanks for all the work you guys do too.
Through the chair, definitely. That's what the policy is about. It's about driving development. We put it in place, and why we've had it in place is trying to get it on the ground quicker than what we used to. Because we've still got a couple of those aged developments that are sitting there currently still approved. We've got a major resort down the beach, in Mission Beach that's been sitting there a while, You'd love to see it built. Hasn't been built at 103, but we've still got one that's just coming off shortly, which is Lugger Bay, which is a 2007 application, which falls under contributions, which will be paid because it's not under these current policies. So it's nice and to try and drive it. And as we know, we want that type of development around that money that's being spent in that village green and the activation of that space and what we expect from that upgrade. So, yeah.
It is great. I have one question in relation to parking. given that this is accessed from Donkin Lane, is that right?
Through the chair, yep, Duncan Lane.
So we would want them to have enough parking so that they didn't, I mean, Donkin Lane's not very wide and we don't want to see excess cars parking on Donkin Lane if it's not definitely if it's not necessary, so just making it, making sure we've, allowed enough.
Through the chair, definitely in the MCU approval, we made sure that we've got enough parking within that facility for that type of development. I suppose once the Village Green's done and a few other areas, we'll look at alternative on-street parking in certain locations at the beach, I'm sure.
I think that is I think that's going to be a necessity moving forward, given that there is a lot going on down there at the moment, and we've had all these applications come to us, in recent months. So, which is a good thing. It means that the activation that we're doing is activating other people and encouraging them to come and invest in Mission Beach. So, couldn't be a better outcome really at the end of the day. Alrighty, so we have, do we have a mover? And seconded by Councillor Baines. Did you read the recommendation? Yeah, you did. Sorry, we had so much chatting. So those in favour? Thank you. All great. We'll move on to the next one, and Mr. Horton will present.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. 7.4, application for reduction in infrastructure charges relating to MCU 2433, which is a material change use for a transport depot and warehouse on land described as Lot 5 on SP 343, 943 and situated at 17 Gundy Mill Road, Gundy Bend. Council's receipt of this request from Tobin Property Partnership Proprietary Limited. Gilvia Planning Proprietary Limited was the consultant, and they've requested a 100% reduction for this development. The application was approved by council, subject to conditions, on the 20th of September 2024, that was, with an infrastructure charges notice issued in the amount of $62,712 and 45 cents. Sorry. Request for a reduction. The infrastructure charges application was not submitted under the current policy within the 3 months of the date of the approval taking effect. As the policy was only updated to include this component in late May 2025, it was recommended to allow the application to be accepted by council, as gives the public a grace transition period to adopt the new stringent requirements in the policy. In addition to this, the application was approved under the previous policy and did not have the 3-month lodgement clause. The proposed development complies with the eligibility and assessment criteria, and if you're well aware of the site, this development is nearly complete, and the request recommendation is for 100% reduction in infrastructure charges be approved by council, provided that all works associated with the development, as contained within the material change of use approval and other statutory requirements, are completed prior to the 20th of September 2028.
Ready to move? Councillor Littlemore, Councillor Baines.
Happy to second, but also would like to add the comment that we get a lot of talk that we're doing all this in Mission Beach, but it's about the entire region and the entire area. So there's development in Innisfail, there's development in Tully, there's development in a lot of our villages, and as long as they fit within the infill criteria, please get the applications in and start to take advantage of this. Thank you.
Very good. Councillor Purvin.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. First of all, I'd like to say well done to the team for this one in particular. It was originally just industrial land quite some time ago. It's a beautiful shed to be seen as you're coming into Innisfail and going out. Council did undertake a lot of works in that area prior to the 2020 council coming in. It was I think a Works for Queensland project that was undertaken along that area there. Clifford Road, yeah, it was quite a big project. It is a major industrial estate in that area. There's been a call for industrial land, and just to see this land be transformed into what it is now, you've got 3 or 4 different businesses that have popped up there. This is the business of Followmont Transport. You got elders there. You've got the recycling mob. It's just great to see it finally go ahead, and yeah, I fully support the reduction in infrastructure fees.
I believe they use locals to build it too, so.
Lots of contractors were using this. It's a huge.
It's massive.
It's very good. Like I said, just on that side of Innisfail, there's still a few blocks there to go, and to see what can be done there, I think you'll have the other blocks going to council in the near future. But like you said, Mr. Horton, the infrastructure's there in place. It's curb and channel was put in, the roads wide. It's
Sewer was done.
yeah, sewer's done. The water was going past there. Yeah.
Very good. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks, council.
We move into general business. Does anybody have any general business? Councillor Jessup.
Thank you, Chair. Back at the start of the month, I think it was the 14th and 15th of August, we had 29 attending councils from all over Queensland converge at Mission Beach for the local Waste Management Advisory Committee earlier this month there. We had some impressive guest presentations. So we had the Endeavour Foundation. They presented on inclusive employment pathways within the waste and recycling sector. They highlighted the importance of community partnerships and social enterprise. Envirocon delivered updates on education and awareness programs designed to change community behaviours around waste minimisation and recycling. They gave insights as to what people were actually putting into their recycling bins, which was very surprising, and I'll fill you in one day on that. Regroup spoke about the circular economy and advanced resource recovery, including regional opportunities for scalable recycling solutions. These were all very good. The one that impressed me was Regen Technology. They presented innovative technologies for turning waste into valuable resources with a focus on renewable energy and local applications. So they are currently looking in the Cairns Greater region, which, to set this up, obviously there's quite a big cost, and there'll be a little bit of advocacy to the government, but it should create some jobs and cut a lot of our rubbish to landfill. So be good to watch that space if that came through. What else can I tell you? Hosting the conference at Mission Beach not only highlighted the Cassowary Coast commitment to sustainability, but it also showcased the region's natural beauty and hospitality. We had over 85 delegates attending, and the event delivered a direct boost to local businesses with accommodation and other providers and tourism operators. So there were special thanks were extended to all the guests for their informative and inspiring presentations, the panel participants for their engaging and practical discussions, and also thanks were extended to the host council, the Cassowary Coast Regional Council, for their hospitality. The LawMac conference at Mission Beach reaffirmed the importance of regional collaboration in addressing the challenges of waste and resource recovery, with councils, industry leaders and community partners working together. North Queensland is well positioned to continue leading sustainable waste management. So it was a very good meet. Just on another note, people in Tully will notice the main street starting to take shape with what our CEO called that black stuff gone down yet. So yes, it's taking shape, and I think the line marking probably will happen tonight. Is that correct? I think that's what we'd be up to. Thank you, Mr. Goodman.
Through the chair, that will we'll get the line marking done in about a week's time. If we put it on too early after the asphalt goes down, we just lose it and it'll be covered in black. But there will be spots, paint spots put down today. Hopefully, we get that finished today so that there's a good guidance of where people should be parking.
Yeah, and what about the
Wheel
stoppers?
stops are intended to go back in as well. Yeah.
But today?
I'm not sure whether they will get in today or not. But yeah.
Okay, wonderful. That's looking good. Thank you.
Absolutely. Long time coming.
Yes.
Yeah. That's pretty much it for me for now.
Thank you, Councillor Jessup. Councillor Pervin.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Mr. CEO, just would like you to give us some information. Members of the community have been asking myself and fellow councillors about the fruit stalls, that council's taken the fruit stalls away that are on the sides of the highway and on private properties. Can you just give us a bit of a rundown where we're at and what's actually happened with them?
Yeah, through the chair, it's a fairly short list of the fruit stalls that we've taken away because we haven't taken any fruit stalls away. Any operators with an approved fruit stall on private property are granted through a planning mechanism. So certainly not affected by any of the changes or conditions that council has considered around that roadside and mobile vending permits. So those permits apply specifically to vendors that are operating on public land like a roadside or council controlled area and are regulated under a separate framework designed to manage the use of public space. So anyone with an existing planning approval, so those fruit stalls on private land, remain valid and that's governed by their land-based activities independently of any mobile vending. So to be clear, the changes to the vending don't override or diminish any rights associated with the approved on-property stalls. Planning approved businesses continue to operate under their original conditions when they had that approval, provided that they comply with any relevant food licence if they had one or public health requirements. So any adjustments to those mobile and stationary vending policies have got no bearing on the property-based operations. And I guess just to add to that, council's worked diligently with the long-term roadside vendors to ensure that the permits to occupy are in place and they can continue to operate as well.
Councillor Chewy.
Thank you. Just through the chair, September coming up is a big month. There's a lot of events going on. Just off the top of my head, I think we've got the Innisfail Gem Fest this weekend. We've got Rainforest School Fete, St Clair's School Fete, the Tropic Art Deco week of festivities. The Curramine Fishing Tournament is coming up, and we've talked before about these are run by a group of hardworking volunteers. So please, if you're looking for something to do, September is such a busy month. Please go out and support these local groups because they are fundraising to continue their works. And on a more solemn note, I would just like to acknowledge the passing of the 2 police officers down south. Everybody has the right to go to work and to get home safely. So our thoughts are with those families and those people affected by that tragedy. Thank you.
Any further general business? Councillor Littlemore.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I attended the opening or unveiling of the Hudson Bomber Plaque down at Cardwell. There was a small, significant gathering there. The RSL down there is absolutely chuffed with the location. It was a perfect day for it, and it's certainly absolutely appropriate in the location where it is. It will add to our inventory of assets. So I just want to thank the councillors for the decision they made in approving that, and let you know just how much the RSL down there and the public down there at Cardwell appreciate that decision. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So I just want to reiterate a few things that we need to encourage people to please be diligent with your recycling. If you're unsure, download the Recyclemate app or contact council and get the advice that you need. There's our new council website has very easy directions if you want to check what bins you need to put out on what day. Please have a look at it. It's just been come out this week, the new website, very easy to use. I've had a few complaints about trolleys, derelict trolleys all over the Cassowary coast, mainly I think in Innisfail this happens a lot. It's not a council responsibility. If you want to put in a complaint, I urge you to contact the management of Woolworths or Coles. However, there is an app that is called Trolley Tracker that you can download. You can download it and put in the location, and it goes back to the owner, and that's their little beep beep to go and pick up their trolleys. However, yeah, I urge you, if you do have a trolley complaint, to contact the management. Also, Easy Bill, don't forget to tick the box. If you don't want to receive a $2.20 charge on your rates notice, tick the box and you'll get a email copy. I'll be pacing the pavement in the next couple of weeks with Mr. Goodman down at Bowen Street to gauge some information about what the expectations are for the improvements down there. So we'll be down there door knocking doing that. And we met with the Inspector General of the Emergency Management and talked on processes and the building of resilience within our communities for future disasters and management of disasters, which was very interesting. And I think there's going to be a big focus and a push through the state and federal government of building resilience again, because people have become very reliant on services and social hookups. So yeah, we had a good chat on that, and it was a very interesting conversation. So other than that, we have a new footpath being started at Tully Hospital that I'm so proud of, because it took a lot of ear bashing to get that. But Queensland Health, we thank you for your listening to the needs of our community, and I can't wait to see that finished in Butler Street. So that'll be great. Trying to think of some other things that are happening. We are aware of the blocks that are missing from down on the riverfront at Innisfail, and we are presently working on a solution to the issue, because we can no longer get those same blocks. But yeah, we are working on fixing that up, and we're also aware that the power's been cut down there, and we will restore it in time for the next RSL celebration down there that needs to be at the cenotaph. Any other general business? Councillor Baines.
Thank you, Mayor. I already spoke about both of these events that I attended earlier this month, the Reef Advisory Committee that I attended, and also the Reef Guardian Council's working group and executive group combined meetings. So I just wanted to... Reef Guardian Councils, we've got 21 councils now are members, so I'd like to welcome the Fraser Coast Council who's come on board, and just reiterate that the strength and the partnerships of these Reef Guardian Councils. Again, it's about opportunity, it's about sharing what we do. Some of the astounding projects that we've all been to see, we share them with each other because it's not competitive funding. We're not trying to protect funding. So I would like to thank the Cassowary Coast community and the councillors for supporting me in these efforts. I think you probably get the idea I'm fairly passionate in this space, but for me,
What do you think?
just a little. But again, the co-benefits and the opportunities coming out of this space are essential. And again, Cassowary Coast, we're leaders in this space. We punch well above our weight. And again, I'll just reiterate, I thank the councillors and thank the community for supporting me in this space, because we need to chase these opportunities down and put them on the ground. So more of it coming. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor McLeod.
Thank you. And just to finish, like Councillor Chewy mentioned before, there's so many events happening, but Art Deco Week, it's actually 8 days of celebrating Art Deco. We are the Art Deco capital of Australia. So, get down to support. There's over 20 events happening on those 8 days. There's still tickets available for the high tea. There's a murder mystery dinner, which will be quite fun. Cemetery walk. There's a doggy day at the park. So get on. It's Art Deco Innisfail, or it's Tropical Art Deco Festival. Go and have a look. All the list of the events are there, and please support this event. It's a very, very small group of dedicated people who run this week-long thing. So please support it and support them. Thank you.
So, and just if I may, and following on from that, if the vintage market's on that Sunday morning, the 20th, I think, the 20th, 21st, is a wonderful trip down memory lane. If you haven't been, I thoroughly recommend that you come and have a look. Whether you purchase something or not is up to you, but it's a great energy. It's a great vibe. Some people get dressed up for the occasion. There's a lovely morning tea. You're at the Shire Hall, so you can, on the veranda, there's the choir as well. So it is a great morning to come and have a look, and you'll realise then that all the stuff that you gave to the charity shops and or to the tip, you probably should have kept, because they're now worth considerable amounts of money. I have learned that, believe me. So yes, it's a great Sunday morning. So I invite everybody to attend.
Thank you. Councillor Littlemore.
Chair, we may be able to, that Art Deco chair or retro chair that we saw, lounge chair we saw in the in our inspection a couple of weeks ago, we might be able to put that in the sale.
Well, actually, Councillor Littlemore, there was a suggestion put forward by Councillor McLeod that might we may or we should open that building for that particular week for people to actually go and have a look at, because it's like a walk back in time. It really is, and everything still is still in its original position. Oh, it's just mind blowing. But yeah, that suggestion did come forward about that particular building. Is there any more general business? No, we'll move out now. We'll move into our closed session. So can I have somebody happy to move? Happy to second? Thank you, Councillor Chewy. All those in favour? Thank you. Welcome back. We'll move down to the closed session, so can I have a mover and a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Baines and Councillor Chewy. Those in favour? Thank you. We've now invited Mr. Page to present on the first contract, removal of beneficial reuse of biosolids. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, Councillors and CEO. This report is for contract FNQ 055, regional removal and beneficial reuse of biosolids. Contract FNQ 029, the regional removal and beneficial reuse of biosolids, was established by the Far North Queensland Regional Organisation of Councils, known as FNQ-ROC, as a regional contract for 6 participating councils: Cairns, Cassowary Coast, Cook, Douglas, Mareeba and Tablelands. The contract was approved by Council at the August 2022 Ordinary Meeting and is due to expire on the 30th of September 2025, with no further extension options available. Due to the specialised nature of the works and the lack of suitable contracts available to undertake these works, Arkwood Proprietary Limited status as a sole supplier for the removal and beneficial reuse of biosolids was sought and granted at the Ordinary Council meeting held in July 2025. F&Q-ROC has subsequently assisted the 6 participating councils with negotiating the rates and terms and conditions of the new contracts. Whilst there are several local governments involved in the collective offer to the market, each council will have an individual contract with the selected contractor, as F&Q-ROC does not have formal delegated authority to enter into contracts on behalf of councils. It is recommended that Council award contract FNQ 055, removal and beneficial reuse of biosolids, to Arkwood Proprietary Limited for a term of 3 years with 2 extension options of up to 12 months each on a schedule of rates basis. The contract commencement date will be the 1st of October 2025, with a maximum contract term of 5 years if all extension options are exercised. So the recommendation today is that 1. The Council awards contract F&Q 055, regional removal and beneficial reuse of biosolids, to Arkwood Proprietary Limited based on a schedule of rates commencing on the 1st of October 2025 for a period of 3 years with a provision of 2 extension options of up to 12 months each at Council's discretion, and 2. Delegates authority to the Chief Executive Officer in accordance with the Local Government Act 2009 to enter into contracts, negotiate, finalise and execute any and all matters associated with or in relation to the contract, subject to Council's normal procurement policies and practices.
Thank you very much. Councillor Chewy.
Thank you, Mr. Page. I'm just reading biosolids, just for people who may not know, are treated sewage sludges and are the major byproduct of the wastewater treatment process. Could you then please explain, we talk about removal and reuse of biosolids. Could you just clarify how that might be possible? Thank you.
Chair, thank you for the question, Councillor. Yes, so the reuse of biosolids can be in many forms. Some is farm application for soil rejuvenation. Others is we may add it with green waste and create a compost that way. So they're the main two from a beneficial reuse point of view. So, but to undertake those tasks, the entities that receive that material go through a number of conditions and licenses as well.
Okay, thank you. Happy to move.
Moved by Councillor Chewy, seconded by Councillor Pervin. I'm just reading here in the risk implications, the end of waste code may impact the suitability of biosolids for beneficial reuse. So who decides that?
So through the chair, the end of waste code is a state code.
Oh, okay.
So, and they're looking at emergent contaminants. So it could be PFAS, microplastics as well.
Right.
And they're looking, and from an industry point of view, there's been industry negotiation discussions around what those limits may be for those emerging contaminants, and determining what those contaminants may be, and those limits may determine what council can or cannot do with its biosolids.
Yeah, right. So that'll determine whether it can be used like on farms or whether it goes to a waste transfer landfill. Sorry, yeah.
For the chair, that's correct.
Okay. All right. No worries. Thank you. No further comments. We've got a mover and a seconder. All those in favour? Thank you. Carried. Back to you, Mr. Page.
Yeah. So this report is for the sewer relining 2025-2026. Council undertakes annual in-situ sewer relining works in order to maintain the sewer reticulation network. As our neighbouring councils undertake similar works, the Far North Queensland Regional Organisation of Councils, FNQ-ROC, invites tenders on behalf of council for the 23-24 Regional Sewer Relining Program under a collective procurement arrangement, with each council forming an individual contract with the selected contractor. The sewer relining works were split into two packages. Package 1, works associated with relining sewers up to 225 millimetres in diameter. Package 2, works associated with relining sewers greater than 225 millimetres in diameter. In the same request for tender, FNQ-ROC also sought tenders for Package 3, which was sewer and manhole condition assessments for some councils, which does not form part of the recommendation of this report. 3 submissions were received for both Packages 1 and 2, and these were evaluated by the Project Steering Committee, which included officers from FNQ-ROC and each of the participating councils. Relining Solutions Proprietary Limited were awarded the contract for both packages as they provide the most competitive submission. Cassowary Coast Region Council did not participate in the FNQ-ROC 2023-24 Regional Sewer Reline Program, however, they joined the 24-25 program. The 24-25 arrangement included provision for further option for the contract to be varied to include sewer relining required during the 25-26 at each of the council's discretion. Following successful delivery of the 24-25 sewer relining program, Relining Solutions Proprietary Limited were invited to quote for the 25-26 program. Whilst there are several councils involved in the collective procurement arrangement, each council has an individual contract with the supplier, as FNQ does not have formal delegated authority to contract on behalf of councils. Recommendations today, council, is that 1, council varies the contract CCW 000286, the 2024-25 Regional Sewer Relining, with Relining Solutions Proprietary Limited by including the relining program for the 2025-26. Based on the indicative works program and pricing, the annual contract value is estimated to be in the facility side of $691,400, excluding GST. In 2, delegates authority to the Chief Executive Officer in accordance with the Local Government Act 2009 to enter into contracts, negotiate, finalise and execute any and all matters associated with or in relation to this project, subject to Council's procurement practices and policies.
Thank you. Councillor McLeod.
Thank you, and through the chair. Mr. Page, just going and relining these sewers instead of replacing them, what is, a lot of people say just replace them and be done with it. What is the life expectancy if we reline it, and the costing as well? Like the benefit for that? Could you just explain?
Yep.
Sorry.
Through the chair, thank you for that question, Councillor. There's a number of factors we consider if we were to replace or reline. If with the sewer mains, some of them are in hard to get locations, so from a cost point of view, it's better to reline. Relining is cheaper than the actual full replacement of that service, but it does give us a slightly lower life. So with relining, expectation is you get somewhere between the 40 and 50 year extension of life. If a full replacement, you could get up to the 60 to 80 years, depending on the material that is used for that replacement. So there is a cost benefit to reline, but you reduce the life isn't as great if it was under full replacement.
Okay, so the costing would be considerably less to reline than replace. Correct?
To the chair, the cost of relining is probably in the vicinity of about 270 odd metres per metre. And that takes into consideration our investigation works that we carry out as well. So prior to formalising a program of works, we'll undertake a CCTV of certain areas of a network to ascertain their condition, and that will feed into the relining program.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I just want to commend everybody for this. It's not something that council has just gone and gone, yeah, we're going to do this. There's a lot of work behind the scenes that have gone into finding the, the state of our sewer.
Condition, yep.
Yeah, the conditions. Thank you, that's the word I was looking for. And we're continuing to do that. Just want to make note to everybody that these aren't things that you see every day. I know we've got our pretty projects and everything, like our roads and everything that you can see on top of the ground. But as you can see, like this tender alone, nearly $700,000. It's a lot of money that we have to spend on this critical infrastructure that we don't see. That's our sewage, and the one that's coming up, so is, water as well. We are responsible for that, to give you clean drinking water and to take your waste, biosolids and all the waste away. So this does cost money. So yeah, just want to make note of that. And if nobody's, I'll move it if nobody's moved it. Yeah.
So further to that, Mr. Page, I just wanted to clarify. So we weren't part of the program prior to 2023-24. So since we have been part of this program, has it been, have the financial benefits to council been confirmed?
Through the chair, thank you for the question. With the financial benefits, there's, I suppose, a number of options that we consider. Like relining there's two main reasons we reline. One is for extension of the asset, and two is to minimise if the asset has damage to occur and we have infiltration through groundwater or stormwater.
Yep.
So from a financial point of view, obviously if we reline that asset, we extend the asset's life, so it's cheaper than replacement.
Yep.
So that is a good beneficial financial benefit to council in undertaking that process.
Yep, but being part of the group of the program,
yep.
the reline program, that also has to have financial benefits?
Yes, to the chair. Yes, as we're
as a collective?
A collective of 6, obviously there's economies of scale in pricing, and if we were to go out as a sole council for pricing, we have seen in other areas that it will be higher. So yes, that is correct.
Thank you. All right, so those in favour? All in favour, thank you. Carried. Over to you.
Okay, third report today, council, is the High Street Reservoir Supply Main Stage 3. So the purpose of this report is for council to consider submitted tenders and award contract CCW 000331 High Street Reservoir Supply Main Stage 3. This project will see the supply and installation of approximately 445 metres of 300mm diameter and 395 metres of 150mm diameter ductile iron concrete lined, otherwise known as DICL, pipework, and approximately 80 metres of microcellular polyvinyl chloride pipework, which is otherwise known as MPVC, with associated property services, hydrants and valves in Bryant and Thel Streets in Tully. It is proposed to award this lump sum contract to Wilsey
That's right.
Enterprises Private Limited, traded as Celtec Construction and Utility Services, who submitted the highest scoring tender submission following the assessment process. 3 recommendations here today, Council. The first one is a Council Award Contract Number CCW 000331 Hyde Street Reservoir Supply Main Stage 3 to Wilsey Enterprises Proprietary Limited, trading as Celtec Construction and Utility Services, for the sum of $1,011,291 exclusive of GST, In accordance with the Local Government Act 2009, Council delegates authority to the Chief Executive Officer to enter into a contract, negotiate, finalise and execute any and all matters associated with or in relation to the contract subject to Council's existing procurement policies and practices. And 3, request the Chief Executive Officer include a budget amendment of $286,291, exclusive of GST, from Financial Project 100851 Innisfail Water Mains Program to Financial Project 100966 Hyde Street Reservoir at Budget Review 1.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Baines, seconded by Councillor Pervin. Are there any questions? Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you, Yes.
We now move on to 9.4, preferred supplier arrangement, and Mr. Goodman will present.
Missed.
Chair's running away on you.
Councillors, on the 17th of July 2025, Council released a tender to establish a register of pre-qualified suppliers, or ROPS, for slope remediation. This will allow Council staff to engage suitably pre-qualified suppliers for slope remediation services. This tender was called in conjunction with a specific project, being Kennedy Esplanade Slope Stabilisation, and that project's located at South Mission Beach. 15 tenders were received for this register of pre-qualified suppliers. The award of the South Mission Beach project is not included in the detail of this of the recommendation of this report, and can be awarded without the formation of the recommended ROPS. There are benefits to this arrangement for both Council and suppliers, leading to a reduction in administration process for Council and tendering costs for suppliers. The types of works anticipated for utilisation of this ROPS include riverine stabilisation, cutting stabilisation, rockfall protection, geohazard mitigation and rock scaling, piling, ground improvement, minor pavement works which are associated with slope remediation, emergent works, and also there is capacity for some of these contractors for design and construct of slope remediation works. It allows us to get on with a timely manner now that we have finalised design for number 6 branch and Kelly Creek Road, which is long-standing issues following Cyclone Jasper. However, importantly, it will set us up in the future to respond much quicker to these events and issues on our road infrastructure, or impacting on our road infrastructure or others across the region. The proposed ROPS contract term is 2 years from the date specified in the letter of acceptance, with one optional extension for a further 1 year. Councillors, the recommendation is... I was going to point out that in the detail of the recommendation, the order of the suppliers is alphabetic order and is not a indication of the ranking within the assessment. The recommendation is that Council approve the establishment of ROPS COW000170 Slope Remediation Panel with the following suppliers: Australian Ground Engineering Proprietary Limited, Doval Constructions Proprietary Limited, Geovert Ground Engineering Proprietary Limited, MGN Civil Proprietary Limited, Navic Proprietary Limited, and PCA Ground Engineering. Secondly, in accordance with the Local Government Act 2009, delegate authority to the Chief Executive Officer to negotiate, finalise and execute any and all matters associated with or in relation to the contract, subject to Council's procurement policies and practices. And thirdly, note that contracts anticipated to exceed $1 million will be brought to Council for decision making, and any that exceed 200,000 will be made public via our website.
Any questions? Renee?
Sorry, through the chair, more a comment. This is really good work, and it's going to be very exciting once Cowley Creek Road is started and done from this process. So thank you very much.
Any further comments? I'm just happy that this that's moved by you. Happy to see these works being started. It's been a long winded project, and hopefully with the establishment of this ROPS in future, when we have incidents like this, we can sort of put the balls in motion and get it going much faster. So yeah, good work. So we've had a move. Sorry,
Through
yeah.
the chair, can I just clarify that this will allow us to go and do that procurement in a much quicker way, that we won't be starting work in what we would hope to be is back with council at your next monthly meeting with a recommendation with a contractor to then start work.
Yeah, but it's still fast forwards our process a bit.
Yep.
Because we hear all the time, why does it take so long? But people don't realise all of the little processes that are behind that have to be ticked and flicked for us to get to that particular point in time. So we've had a mover and a seconder. Those in favour, thank you. That brings the meeting to a close. Hope you all enjoy this wonderful weekend and have a safe one. Thank you. Thank you.
Beep, beep.